This is a very, very, very exciting video for me. And what it's about, in short, before I get all excited and don't talk about it, is why calories in, calories out is not the end-all, be-all equation for even weight loss. Whoa. If I eat less than I burn, I'm going to lose weight. It is far more complicated than that. And we're going to talk about in this video how calories in, calories out does not take into account manipulating your appetite via things that are produced in your gut, via your gut microbiome function, via your mitochondrial function, how all this kind of happens in as simple as possible and within the scope of this video, and what we can really do about it, right? So when we talk about calories in, calories out, for those of you again who are not as familiar, it just says if I eat less calories than I burn, I'm gonna lose weight, okay? But what about eating processed versus whole food? Because that's not taking into account at all. First off, it doesn't take into account body composition when it talks about weight, like free fat mass or muscle mass, right? And all of us want to lose fat, not just weight. That's kind of a whole nother thing. But it doesn't take into account the quality of the food. It just says calories. Calories are energy source. They're just energy units, right? And so what about eating whole food from nature? Why does eating whole food from nature manipulate our metabolism so that we will actually burn more fat and we can successfully lose weight and not fall into this common pitfall of calories in, calories out method that most people take when they want to lose weight? Well, look at whole food from nature. It contains things like, of course, macronutrients, protein and carbs and fats, and we all know they contain micronutrients too, vitamins and minerals, and all that's well and good. But they also contain other things like antioxidants such as polyphenols, right? And blueberries will say a lot of them, or even, dark chocolate. We're going to eat a ton of chocolate, or other sorts of berries and colorful fruits and vegetables, really, for the most part, right? And so these things have a major influence on metabolism. It's not, you think about antioxidants for just a protective effect on cells. They all combat reactive oxygen species, reduce oxidative stress, as everybody hears, right? But when you eat whole food that's rich in polyphenols, did you know that your body actually will not absorb all of the calories from what you're eating? So this right away says it's not as simple as the calorie amount in that food as to what's coming in and going out. Well, what you're eating, actually a lot of it will pass through your entire system and will be expelled in the feces, at least some of it, right? And so it's not, the amount of calories you ate isn't it actually the amount that's influencing your metabolism. Okay, that's one. Two, the polyphenols and also the fiber that you're eating influence your gut microbiome. Okay, so they feed your gut microbiome. That eat the fiber, right? And when we say microbiome, we're talking about the bacteria. So again, the bacteria will eat the fiber, and they use these polyphenols, just again as an example, to help these reactions occur. And when they eat that fiber, and the polyphenols help the reactions to occur, analogous to, say, B vitamins helping energy reactions occur for breaking down sugar, fat, and this and that, right? Well, you produce what are called metabolites. And these metabolites are SCFAs, among other things. But without getting into the names, butyrate acetate, caproic acid, valeric acid, they're not as important. They control a whole lot in your body. And when your gut eats them, they then tell your brain, they send signals to your brain, and more specifically in this case, what we're talking about today, the hypothalamus, the satiety center, right? Satiety is your appetite, your fullness, right? They tell your brain, okay, we're not all that hungry. So they affect your appetite. So now these compounds in whole foods are affecting your appetite. It's not just what you ate, it's how it's affecting what you're going to or going to not eat. You're not going to crave other things that are bad for you. You're way less likely if you have whole food that is rich in these nutrients. Okay, and that is one. And did you know that people that have a diet rich in whole foods from nature, they typically have a higher body temperature? And body temperature has declined relatively significantly ever since the Industrial Revolution, when we introduced these processed foods, right? Just to make more money and pump them out to people and increase shelf life by putting all this crap in them and make it taste really great. The average body temperature has gone down, and why is that important? Well, you're generating heat. What happens when we generate heat? How do we do that? You know, it's energy, right? And to get this energy, we're burning things. So typically people that eat whole foods have higher body temperature and therefore faster metabolism. A lot of people that are overweight or obese have a lower body temperature indeed. And you might think it's quite the opposite. Oh, they're always, you know, hot or sweating. Well, that's because their body has to really work hard to do simple tasks, right? Like walk, and they're carrying a lot of weight and this and that. But on average, that much is true. And people that eat a diet rich in whole foods also have more brown fat. At least more of their fat, we should say, is brown. And brown is burnable fat. It's not white fat, which is stored fat. Okay? So it's fat that's available to use for energy. And so why do people that eat whole foods typically have higher body temperature? I think it is a fantastic question. Well, when we talk about higher body temperature and metabolism and burning things, what do we think of right away when it comes to cellular function, when it comes to a cell? We think of the mitochondria, okay? The mitochondria are the energy powerhouses in our cells. And we break down fat, when we break down sugar, at least in aerobic respiration, you would break down all these things, even amino acids sometimes. Eventually, it goes through the mitochondria. At least we have the presence of oxygen, right? And that makes ATP, energy, and whatever. We get energy for the body, and that's an energy powerhouse. This isn't just important for metabolism, though, in regards to physique. This is important for cognitive function. And so they see tons of diseases now are related to mitochondrial dysfunction or to a lack of a number of mitochondria. And so when we eat these whole foods that are rich in not only fiber and polyphenols, but also bioactive fats, what the hell are bioactive fats? Examples would be EPA and DHA. Those are probably the best examples that you find. They're omega-3s, right? And fermented foods, which have the bacteria themselves, okay? Well, what happens is these trigger the gut to produce the metabolites, okay? And these metabolites not only affect our appetite in the brain, they affect the number of mitochondria in our cells. That's right. The number of energy powerhouse, fat-burning organelles in our cells. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but it worked out. You know? And their function and how efficiently they work. So it is way more complicated than to say the amount of calories in to calories out is what is going to support optimal body composition and weight loss. We're talking about if you don't have as many of those things, we'll call them things, mitochondria, that are burning up fat and things for energy, right? Well, then if you have all that stuff you need to burn, right, and simple, it doesn't matter if you don't have well-functioning mitochondria, you have less of them because you just can't burn it. So it doesn't matter what the composition of that food was, that processed food. You can't even utilize it. A gram of fat's not a gram of fat anymore. It's not. It is, but it's not. They both have 9 kilocalories per gram, right? Fat molecules, right? We know that. You know, protein and carbs are 4, if you were curious, right? 4, not 5. But there's a major difference in how your body can process them, okay? And these, how can we say, bioactive nutrients, if you will, aforementioned, they pass through your small intestine. They get into your large intestine, and that's where a lot of this work happens, where your gut bacteria act on them. And they produce these things that control the number of mitochondria, their function, your appetite, not to mention immune function, rates of muscle growth, mood to a significant degree. 90% of serotonin produced in your gut. So have a diet rich in whole foods, right? And then, you know, what are some ways, if you're curious about the mitochondria, we can optimize mitochondrial function aside from, you know, like we said, having whole food that's rich in, you know, having like fermented foods or fiber or polyphenols or bioactive fats. Well, surprise, surprise, exercise, more sleep, less stress, nutrition, right? Eating whole foods, of course. But I say it like that because we've beaten a dead horse up in here all the time at Wellness, giving you different reasons to eat all this good stuff. and to do all this good stuff for yourself. That's what When Wellness is all about. So will it work for someone that is eating whole food from nature to have this beneficial effect on mitochondrial production and function and influencing signals to the brain that will improve body composition if they don't have a healthy gut? The answer is no. Because what did we say? The gut bacteria here are what are utilizing these nutrients and then making what we call metabolites that are then having these effects on the body. So if you didn't have a healthy gut in the first place, you guys, it's not going to do you all that good. And so that could explain why some people that are obese and overweight, you know, they start to have some of these healthy foods, and I don't quite see the difference yet. I don't quite see, you know, they don't quite see those rates of weight loss that they should be seeing, right? They're not getting these beneficial effects. And that's because they're in gut dysbiosis. They have an imbalance of beneficial or harmful bacteria, or they just have less good bacteria, or just too much harmful bacteria, whatever it is. So correcting gut health is really first and foremost, and we've done many videos on correcting gut health, and it's a lot of the same stuff, you guys. Being less stressed, getting more sleep, you know, exercising, eating a lot of, you know, fermented foods and fiber, and that's all well and good. But you can look into a gut cleanse if you want. What they commonly do is they give somebody antibiotics, which I do not preach, right? But in this regard, maybe not a terrible idea to kill everything at first if someone's in dysbiosis, and then reintroduce healthy foods and methods to boost your gut health. And from there, now you're starting at a clean slate, and all this stuff will work for you, and you'll get those beneficial effects from whole food from nature. But for most people, like you and me, you guys, if we have these whole foods from nature, we are going to get these beneficial effects on metabolism and much more. And it is so much more than calories in and calories out. So that's what we got for you guys. Hope you found that interesting as I did. I love this shit. Really freaking cool. Dave, how you feeling, brother? How you doing? That's the beast from the east. What's up, man? Cubano, Ma, what's up? Love you. The Time Traveler, Gali, 5GMB5, C9, SBU represent. What's up? My alma mater. Nice to see you on here. Mimel MT, Brandon Malone, App State. As for now. So we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have an amazing rest of your night. Thank you all very much. And happy When Wellness. We'll see you later.